Welcome to the Pocket. My name is Scooter, and here for you today, I have my reaction and a little bit of a recap of what's been going on with this Daniel Jones situation. It's been a pretty ugly one. There was no way it wasn't going to be ugly. It's been tough to keep up with, so I figured I'd make a video for you guys because, like I said, something different's been happening every day. So I just want to go back and then we can finally tie a bow on this thing. So going back to November 18th, like 4 days ago, Daniel Jones, he was announced to be benched in favor of Tommy DeVito. And of course, we couldn't just normally bench him and promote the guy who's been our second string quarterback for the entire season that we're paying, $5 million to. No, we went with Tommy DeVito, and I think there's some valid reasons for why we did that. Tommy has the most wins of any New York quarterback, not named Josh Allen, but New York, uh, of any of the guys. Or I believe Zach Wilson's in first place, but Tommy DeVito's got just as much as anyone else. Aaron Rodgers, Daniel Jones, since the start of last year. So he's proven that he can go out there with this team and compete, right? And potentially win you some games. So from that perspective, I get it. And then I also think from ownership, they believe he's gonna get fans to go to the games because obviously everyone loves Tommy DeVito. He's a great story, and honestly, he played pretty well in the games that we won, especially. So I think there's, multiple other smaller reasons most likely, but those are the two big ones is it's going to put fans in seats and we've seen it before. Uh, I think they're also probably a little afraid that if Drew Lock does get comfortable in this offense, that we might win too many games and that will tank our draft position, right? We'll have a lower draft pick and this organization does not want that. This is the first year I think I've ever seen them seemingly totally commit to a tank, right? You're getting rid of your starting quarterback and you're playing the guy who's been third string all year. Like, I'm not trying to disrespect Tommy DeVito. Obviously, he's a capable guy, but I think everyone can understand the analogy that Drew Lock definitely has a higher ceiling and perhaps a lower floor because he's newer and he tends to make more mistakes. Tommy DeVito is much more steady, right? I feel like in the games we've seen him play, it's been more or less something you can rely on that you're going to get a consistent product from him. So that's enough on recapping the start of this. Following that, the next day, Dexter Lawrence takes to Twitter, I believe, or X, and he publicly disagrees with the benching, saying he still believes Daniel Jones gives us the best shot and that, he's upset over the decision. And, he's a veteran guy, and that's usually who gets the most upset in these situations is the veteran guys who want to win now and they're committed to the team and the teammates that they have and the relationships they currently have. They don't want to start over, right? So Dexter Lawrence and a couple other guys, take the Twitter. I think some of the other guys were like Darius Slayton, um, some former Giants, right? Even rookies like Drew Phillips. He didn't come out and specifically say um, anything about the decision, but he came out and showed support, much like many of the rest of the Giants. It seems he was generally well liked in the locker room. I'll have more to say about that later, but there is definitely a lot of support coming from the players. This is a unique situation, but yes, I think he's definitely got support from some people in there. So then the next day, the media finally gets to Drew Lock. They're like, "What are we doing here? Right? You've been the second string quarterback. Are you surprised by this decision? Are you frustrated? Are you angry?" And what he basically said is, "Yeah, that's a question I still got for myself." And I'm like, "Oof, maybe could have said something else there." I doesn't seem like he thinks he's going to be with the team next year. He probably sees this as a wasted year for him, right? Because you're told that you're going to be the second string when you're in contract negotiations, and you'll have an opportunity to compete to be the starter. And lo and behold, this season Daniel Jones is struggling, and he's sitting there thinking all year, "Oh, I'm gonna get an opportunity." Of course, he got in during the Eagles game, but I mean to be the starter, right? To get a full game and a fair shot. He's thinking that this whole time, and then when the time finally comes, they play the third string over you. He jumps over you. Daniel Jones drops to 4 or 3, and you just stay there. And it's like, what are we doing here, right? We're talking about pinching pennies for these contracts and trying to save every single cent we can, but you don't use the backup quarterback that you intended to. Now, like I answered before, I understand the potential reasons why, but it's still just really bizarre and probably not good in the long run. But yeah, Drew Lock, that's what he had to say. Other than that, he was very supportive of Tommy DeVito and Daniel Jones. He had nothing but good things to say about them. So he was very professional about the situation. Uh, the next day, the 21st of November, as yesterday, they will respond. It'll probably be more like 2 days for you guys because I'm recording this at night. So most of you probably won't be seeing this until the next day. But I digress. Dable basically condemned Dexter Lawrence's comments, right, and said like, we made a, informed decision. We believe this is what's best for the team. Of course, pretty much just kind of ducking all angles from here, kind of trying to, settle down what's going on with Dexter Lawrence, one of your best players, speaking out against this, but also not really giving away too much about why they made this decision. Just basically, we made this decision and the team's got to ride with us. And then also in the same day, this was like Daniel Jones's, like last practice. They had him playing scout team safety. Oh man, a lot of people are saying like this is like disrespectful or something like that. Um, I can see that, but I think if anything, this is more of a joke. This team did not want to even allow him to practice for that injury clause guarantee. For that very reason, they did not want him to practice. So why would they put him at a position like safety, even if it's just to like stand there? Why would you even do that? I personally think that this was more of like, it's your last day here. You could screw around and you can line up at safety. Hey, you want to play safety for us? It's your last day. Who cares? And they pretty much sent him off like that. I'm sure if he wanted to say no, he very well could have and been like, I'm not doing that. But I think most likely, I actually think that was probably in like good fun from both parties. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. That to me it's an interesting and very irrelevant talking point. It really doesn't have consequences on anything. But people are talking about it, and I'm like, yeah, I don't really think it's like this malicious thing that they're disrespecting him or spiting him by putting him at safety. No, I think it was a joke. And then this was the day where Daniel Jones spoke to the media, and you know, it was like a tough thing to watch. Being a Giants fan, and I always supported Daniel Jones. I always wanted what was best for him, even if it was apparent from most of his seasons that he, was a quarterback who's flawed inherently, and he did not show consistent growth in improving this flaw. So, in spite of all of this, you still go out and you support him. And after 6 years of that, it's definitely I'm not like unhappy that we're going to get change in the organization at the most important position. I'm not unhappy about it, but I guess you could say it's a little bittersweet. He was he's a class act, that's for sure. And when he spoke to the media, he was very professional. All he was saying was about how what's important right now is what's important for the team. And I'll go on to he went on to basically ask for a release, and the Giants granted him a release the next day. So he was officially done. But yeah, he brought this prepared statement to the media, but then also answered some of their questions. And they asked him some definitely some deep questions. Like, what does it mean to you to have like some guys in this locker room basically going out and publicly disagreeing with this decision? And you could see him getting like a little emotional because he's like, yeah, like that means a lot to me. Because you got to imagine, like I said in my last video, he definitely does not feel supported, right? He's probably one of the least supported quarterbacks, not only in the NFL, but in NFL history that I can remember. A guy that got that many opportunities. I get he was like, what, 22, 44 and 1 or something, and got like 70 starts. I get it. It's a results based thing, but tough to see him go. Tough to see him answer these questions that really dig deep down into his soul. This is a guy who was like his Eurostar recruit out of high school. He went to Duke. He got drafted by the Giants in the top 6. Like, what a story just to get there, right? So to see it end is it's something sad, especially watching his reaction to that. Most of what he said was prototypical Daniel Jones stuff. One more thing he did was he was answering a question, and it was another emotional moment where he was talking about, I think it was like his perspective and what he's going to do. And he was still talking about the team. And he was like, yeah, we're going to get Tommy ready to go out there this week. And it's like, oh, man, for him to have to say that is just brutal. But yeah, that's enough about the media and him talking to the media. Drew Lock and Tommy DeVito also spoke to the media. Tommy DeVito, once again, supportive of Daniel Jones, supportive of Drew Lock when they were brought up to him in question, and said all the right things. Drew Lock, now, he had a interview as well, and like I said, he got asked like, "Oh, what do you think about basically getting jumped by the third string?" He was just like, "Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know." So watching that, it's just disappointing because it's like a waste of $5 million that we could have used to sign guys like McKinney or Barkley, and we're not even using him in the most important situation. Like if you knew that if you were going to bench Daniel Jones, that you were going to play DeVito, I don't know why you signed a backup quarterback like Drew Lock. And one final thing about the quarterback room is, as we did release Daniel Jones, we did sign Tim Boyle to the practice squad. So we do have three quarterbacks. Probably won't be active for most of the games, but in case something happens to DeVito or Locke or both of them, we will still have somebody. So now that the quarterback fiasco is over, we're rolling with Tommy DeVito or Drew Lock if DeVito doesn't perform, or for whatever reason we decide to throw Drew Lock in there. We have officially moved on from Daniel Jones. He's no longer a New York Giant. I really can't believe it. Um, it's been 6 years of this, and if you don't want to be in that situation again, we got to really think about what we are going to do this offseason, right? Because we ended up in this situation by having a bad offseason, a bad plan for a couple of years, before we, finally changed over the quarterback, and we put our new quarterback in a bad situation. And whether he was going to be good or not, we were not going to find out he was good playing him behind this team. So I think this Giants team is in a much better position than Giants teams of years past, but you don't want to compare to basically your poorest standard and say, because we're better, that's good. We don't need to, eat our fruit and vegetables and do the right things for our roster to support this quarterback. Let's do something else with the money. Let's go big and go on a run or something and sign all these free agents. No, you need to build a future for this guy in this year's draft and getting youth on the team to grow with him. Now, the Giants have two options, obviously. We can either go in through the draft and we can get Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders. Those seem to be the two top guys, the two top prospects that people are not only aiming at just the Giants, other teams like the Titans, the Raiders, the Browns were also finishing near the top of the draft. And then there's some later guys. Maybe you can go in the second round, or if we fall in draft position because we end up winning some games with Tommy DeVito, we're going to have to think about some of these guys. Carson Beck, Jalen Milroe, Quinn Ewers. These are some guys who don't have the same ceiling, the same potential as guys like Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward. But as we've seen with a couple quarterbacks who are not first round picks and aren't the most talented guys, you can still get maybe not elite level production. Well, maybe you can get elite production, but I wouldn't describe it exactly as elite play, right? Because those guys must have an excellent supporting cast. So that is a potential move for us, is to go with like a second round guy, because it's also a little non-committal. I don't think we're going to, be hung up on a guy for 6 years if he's a second round pick. He's not really that guaranteed to be the future. So I think there's a lot we can do in the draft, even if we do fall and end up winning some games. Ideally, if this is the route we're going to go, I want Cam Ward, but we'll get into that more in the off season when there's plenty of time to talk about that before the draft. Now, this alternative to the draft, I feel like people forget about this quite often, but there are free agent quarterbacks. And in this cycle, I think I'm very confident in saying the Steelers are going to sign Russell Wilson, which means I think it would be a little foolish for them to also keep Justin Fields, unless if they want to keep doing this two quarterback thing, having an extra package, kind of like a Taysom Hill. I don't think Justin Fields is down for that. I think Justin Fields wants a chance to start, so he's going to go to a team that doesn't have uh, that level of competition with a guy like Russell Wilson. So Justin Fields is, there's other guys. There's like Sam Darnold, and there's a few other guys. But the bottom line is, I think Justin Fields is someone we should heavily consider adding, because if we fall in the draft, or say the guy we draft is not ready, then we have a guy like Fields who we can start. And he isn't like someone you're banking on to be your future, but if he starts to grow under Brian Dable, who's probably the best offensive coach he's had, then you can sit your rookie for a good while, or you don't even have a rookie, right? Maybe you don't like this class of quarterbacks and you don't want to draft one here, and you say we're going to trade back. We've already signed Justin Fields. We're going to build capital for this year and the following year, and then we're going to trade up in that draft and select a quarterback, because I would assume if you have Fields starting that whole time, you're not going to be losing as many games as we have been, right? We're not going to be a 2-win team again, most likely. I mean, I guess anything's possible with this team, but yeah. So that's my take on the Justin Fields thing, or the free agent quarterback route. Is I think a bridge quarterback would be a very wise move for us, because it's said often how this class is nothing compared to last year's class. It's yet to be seen how it compares to, say, maybe the Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud class. But in the end of the day, if you just have Justin Fields on your team, you have so many options, and you don't have to constrain yourself to one path that can always get spoiled by external factors. Like, say, you are eyeing up a guy in the second round to be your quarterback, but then, oh no, someone selected him. We don't have a free agent quarterback. We don't have a quarterback in the first or second round. They're all gone. And now we have no quarterback for this season. We're signing like Jameis Winston or something. So having Justin Fields on the roster, I think, is really going to ease the job of Joe Schoen. And this time we'll actually use the backup, right? If that's what he becomes. And you could be excited about it, just like we would have been about Drew Lock. Now, Justin Fields has a lot of the same problems and experiences that Daniel Jones has had. A little bit of trouble reading defenses, a little bit of turnover-worthy play problems. But like I said, I don't think he's ever had a Brian Dable. I think the fresh start would be good for him. Specifically, I've said a lot about how I think the Giants could benefit from him. I think he could benefit from the Giants. So we should heavily consider it. So that is all I got for you guys. Sorry, this one was a little all over the place, but there was a lot to talk about, and a couple things I wish I put in the last video that I sort of had to shoehorn into this one, but that's okay. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like, leave your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe if you're not already, to support the channel and to never miss a video. You can also hit that notification bell. There are 2 spots left to be one of the first 100 subscribers to the Pocket. If you want to be that, please, I beg you, subscribe to the channel right now. Let's get to 100. I'm so happy and appreciative of the support I've received over the past few weeks, and I can't wait to see what else we can do with this channel. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.